Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with Red, White, and Booze. That's right, what better way to celebrate the 4th of July than with these red, white, and blue Boozy Popsicles. And sure, these are actually red, white, and purple, but hey, this is America. It's what color we say it is. Got it? Good. But anyway, since colors aren't actually flavors, we're also going to call this a strawberry blueberry cheesecake popsicle. So let's go ahead and get started, and the first step is to make a simple syrup. And despite the name, this is actually very easy to do. So in a little saucepan, we're going to dump some white sugar and some water, not equal parts. That's a classic simple syrup, but this one has a little more sugar in it. And of course, I'm going to give you all the exact measurements on Food Wishes. So what we'll do is we'll stir that together over medium heat until that sugar dissolves into the water and the mixture basically turns clear. And it's only going to take a couple minutes, so don't go anywhere. Just stand there, stir it once in a while until it basically looks like that. And at that point, we're simply going to turn off the heat and let that cool down to room temperature while we get started on the next step, which is the first layer, also known as the strawberry layer. So we're going to take some fresh strawberries and trim them up. We're going to cut off the top, of course, and I'm just going to quarter those into a measuring cup. Right there, I saw a little piece of green leaf, which I pulled out, but we can't have that. So we're going to trim up those strawberries, and then I'm going to transfer them into this little mini food processor that I believe I got when I opened a free checking account. But feel free to use a normal size food processor or even a blender. And then besides the main ingredient, each one of these layers is getting the same 2 additional ingredients, which are the simple syrup we just made and, to make them boozy, some vodka. So we're going to pour in about 3/4 of a shot of vodka along with our now cooled simple syrup. And then we'll go ahead and pop the top on and blend this until smooth. Or at least as smooth as one of these little things is going to get me. So we'll go ahead and blend that smooth. And don't worry about the pink color, that's all the air bubbles. Those are going to dissipate and this will take on a much deeper color. And once our fresh strawberry puree is done, we're ready to start building these popsicles. And I'm going to use one of these, your standard plastic popsicle mold. And of course, you could just use little paper cups and popsicle sticks. Totally will work. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute my strawberry mixture evenly between those 6 molds. And then what we're going to do is we're going to toss that in the freezer so that layer can freeze before we add the second layer, which is the cheesecake layer. So in a bowl, I have some nice, soft, room temperature cream cheese. And I don't want to give the brand, but I'm using the one from that city whose sports teams aren't that good. And then to that, we're going to add some simple syrup. And we'll mix that up before we add our vodka this time. And you really should add this gradually, so it's easier to mix. But I'm not into that. I dumped it all in. And it does look like hell at the beginning. But just keep mixing and mixing and mixing. And pretty soon, it will look heavenly. And by heavenly, I mean perfectly, perfectly smooth. Just like that. And then we can go ahead and add our vodka to this layer. And when that's incorporated, you should have a nice pourable cream cheese mixture. And by the way, we're calling these boozy popsicles because there is a little bit of alcohol in them, but not that much. I'd probably describe it as not enough to make you giggle, but enough to make you grin, which is still pretty good. And then once our strawberry layer has firmed up, which is probably going to take you at least an hour, we'll go ahead and top with our white layer, of course dividing it equally between the 6 molds. And one reason you really want to make sure that strawberry layer is frozen solid is because if you add this room temperature cream cheese mixture on top, it will kind of melt it and make like a pink layer, which as you can see happened a little bit here because I was in a hurry. But no big deal, as long as that strawberry layer is kind of firm, you should have some decent looking layers. And then once our cheesecake layer is done, we're going to do the exact same drill again. We're going to freeze that layer until it's firm and top it with the final layer, which of course is our blue layer, starring blueberries. And just like our strawberry layer, we're going to puree this with some simple syrup and some vodka, and we'll blend that as smooth as our device allows. And just like the strawberries, this is going to appear a lot lighter right now with all these air bubbles blended into it than it will at the end, okay? This is actually going to darken up and thicken up beautifully. And then, like I said, when the cheesecake layer is firm, we're going to pull that out. We're going to top it off with our blueberry mixture. And once we've done that, we're finally ready to put in the sticks. And of course, because I'm using these fancy molds, it comes with this little drip guard. And by the way, people, please do not be sampling the vodka while you're doing this. Check out this last one I'm placing, totally upside down. Had no idea. Completely oblivious. So like I said, don't do too much vodka sampling while you're working on these. Kids, that's called a cautionary tale. But anyway, I did realize my mistake about 5 minutes later. So I flipped it over, and as they say, all's well that ends well. And then all we need to do is let these freeze completely solid. I totally recommend overnight. But that's between you and your patients to decide. And at that point, of course, they're ready to enjoy. And look at those beautiful 3 layers, which of course represent life, liberty, and the pursuit of lusciousness. And then all we have left to do is take off that protective plastic sheath and start eating. And man, were these delicious. Basically, you're tasting pure fruit. And as far as texture goes, I thought this came out perfectly. It's really not that hard and icy. It's really much more like a strawberry sorbet. And as you're eating this, you have complete freedom of choice. You can eat straight down, eating all 3 flavors separately, or you can go down the side and bite where the layers intersect and get some strawberry cheesecake and then some blueberry cheesecake. So I find that kind of freedom very empowering. Of course, that could also be the vodka. But anyway, that's it. A fun, delicious, patriotic, popsicle-based tribute to America. I think if the Founding Fathers were alive today, they'd be so proud of this and would agree that all those struggles they went through were totally worth it. Okay, so I really do hope you give this a try. Head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.